Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Travelers Season 2, Episode 2. It's called Protocol 4. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. First question I have. Did they bring up Protocol 4 last season? I feel like they probably did.
I don't recall it. And I'm inclined to think no, based on the way this is titled, and I know obviously it's thematically is a good reason, but
yeah, because I felt like when it was first mentioned in the episode, Walt brings it up because he's saying all the protocols because he's never driven a car before, and apparently from the future's changed enough that the people coming back now have never had a simulator to learn to drive, so he's struggling. But he says he gets to Protocol 4. Which is do not procreate, and I thought, oh, that's a nice thing to remind us because last episode, of course, we now know that Vincent's got a kid. He had a kid after he came back, so he's broken that rule specifically. Then, of course, later on in the episode, we have more talk of procreation from various people. In fact,
yeah, it makes it interesting for Vincent. Is that why they tried to kill him? Because obviously, he wasn't supposed to survive anyway, but they only found him through the picture of him with the kid the first time. So is that when they were like, oh, okay, he's broken protocol?
I think you're right, and maybe because he had a kid, but I don't necessarily think it's they only found out about it because of that picture. I think it's the kid went on to do things. So I think you have to remember that it's always in hindsight. Like they always have the history of everything that follows. So it's not like that photograph was the only evidence from the future's perspective.
No, but that's how they found him, wasn't it? That picture.
Well, yeah, that's how they know he was location at that moment, but that's not necessarily how they know that he's got a kid.
No, that's true.
So we had that from he's not in this episode, but obviously that comment made me think of last episode, made me think of that. Yeah, so clearly there's a reason for not procreating. I mean, the obvious answer is that it creates new people that weren't there before and alters history as a result. That's the simple answer. What the actual effect it'll have on the show is curious, and we'll see how that goes. Especially because obviously there's Philip's going to have sex, and he he pulls out a condom because he's like, hey, Protocol 4, right? Yeah. Also, most people when they're going to have sex don't want to have a kid anyway. So,
Yeah.
Like I get why he said it. Like it worked for him. I didn't feel forced or anything like that. But I was like, you don't have to even justify it though.
I didn't have to, but it was an amusing enough line.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like just in case she might want a kid. Hey, remember Protocol 4? It's a rule. We're not allowed to.
Yeah, well, we see she's a bit of a rule breaker as it is.
She is a bit of a rule breaker. More than that in a bit. And then, of course, the bigger thing that and I like this little kind of revelation because, like I said, that Protocol 4 coming up earlier on, at the time it felt like, oh, they're reminding us of that, or they're telling us it for the first time if we haven't heard it before, because of Vincent. I felt like we'd already had the reason why it's been brought up.
Yes, exactly.
So when it got to later on, and Kat is pregnant, I was like, oh, okay, that was neat. You already made me feel like I'd had my reason for hearing it, and you gave me another one. So, I didn't see it coming.
Double down.
Yeah. So obviously thematically, then everything's kind of linked by that one. So the title's perfect because there's several things that link into it, and what's interesting is she's very like, hey, this is my decision. I wasn't even going to tell you. I'm going to make the choice whether or not I'm going to keep the baby myself. You're not involved. She makes him sign, separation papers, which he's not particularly happy about. But I thought that was interesting because obviously I don't know what she's thinking necessarily and what he'll say. I mean, I think the fact that he says, "Oh, we wanted this for such a long time," implies that he would, at least from her perspective, might want to keep it because it's something they did want and it's something he might see as fixing their relationship. But I have to wonder, because he even brought up Protocol 4 earlier on, or Walt did, if his actual intention in his head's like, I need to make sure she gives this baby up because this is not meant to happen. This is breaking the rules. Yeah. So I'm curious as to how that plays out. And I actually wonder, is this the thing that kind of forces him to fess up? And maybe reveal some things to her, like, no, we have to get rid of the baby. Here's why.
Yeah, well, if she wasn't going to divorce him before, she sure would after that.
Oh, yeah. I'm not really your husband. I'm actually some other guy from the future who's in his body.
And just pretending to have been in for the last few months.
Yeah. Which really makes that one time we had sex since I've been here really kind of fishy in a consent level.
Yes, vaguely rapey.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So a lot of reasons why he's going to get murky should that come up. But I just wondered, like, I mean, I don't know if he will. Maybe he'll, like, because he does feel attached. Will he feel attached and not want to give the baby up? Especially, I mean, I don't know, because I think Vincent mentioned last episode, like, his wife thought he was going to be mad when she told him that she was pregnant, and he said, I don't think she understood that where I'm from, life is so precious. Like, having a baby is such like a privilege almost. So I almost wonder if Mac's going to feel the same way, where he's like, oh, it's just too tempting. Like, I can actually have this in my life. Yeah. So, no. So there's some fascinating things there. I like that. And yeah, so there's some comedy stuff with Walt actually. Walt can't drive. He's like fascinated by donuts. Why did they put a hole in them?
I don't blame him for being amazed by donuts.
No, donuts are great. Jam, to know the reason why they put a hole in them?
I don't. I'd like to imagine it's to do with them cooking evenly.
You get donuts that don't have holes in them.
You do, but they usually have something in there.
They have a filling instead, yeah.
Yeah, so that would stop. It's not like the dough is cooking evenly there, because there's no dough there, because it's it's empty space with filling anyway.
Yeah, maybe. Is it just a practical thing because you can get your finger in there?
Maybe. Who knows? It's just an appealing shape.
Because I do wonder if someone just did the version with the hole just to separate themselves from the other donuts, and then that became what everyone thought of as a donut. And now now everyone just does it because that's what people expect, unless there's a filling.
Yeah.
It sounds like one of those things that it's just because people expect a hole, there's a hole.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's a good question though. We're getting to the cusp of the matter with the donuts.
Yes, yeah. I like that donuts are just such a thing in TV. Like, there's this ongoing mystery with donuts that we can trace.
They're basically the co-lead of Twin Peaks.
Exactly. And they're definitely at least a guest star on Supergirl.
Oh, absolutely. Although season 3's been lacking the donuts.
Season 3 has been lacking.
I have to admit, yeah, I'm upset about the lack of donuts. But I got a great scene of them here on on Travelers, so why not? And they're investigating a weird thing. It comes back at the end, maybe suggesting there's more to it than what we originally think. We see, and do you know what the fact is? We opened the episode with this scene where we've got this guy who's trying to sell a timeshare to a bunch of people in a room, and he's like, it's only, was it 2,000, 20,000, whatever it was, but obviously divvied up amongst people or whatever. And it was like, yeah, so if you go 2 weeks out of the year, you pay this amount and you all share it, and fancy. But they're not really feeling it. They're like, they kind of just came here for the free food and whatever. And he's like, hey, I'll leave you in here. I'll go see if I can knock off a few more dollars with the manager. Sales tactics 101, all the rest of it. And he goes out and he locks them in, which is a little bit fishy in of itself. And even if it's just a harsh sales tactics, they can't get out. As soon as they realise they've been locked in, they're just going to be pissed at you and not want to buy anything.
Yeah,
I feel like.
I think the idea is they will never realise, because they'll just be waiting for him to come back, so they won't try and leave.
Yeah, but if they try and leave, the ruse is up, and it's actually made things worse. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know what it's accomplishing in that sense. But then again, there might be something else going on. Clearly, given where this goes. Yeah. But all the people in there, I think it was 6 people, all disappeared. And when Mac and Walt get to the crime scene and they're looking at the security footage is like damaged and corrupted, and Walt points out that when a traveller arrives, it's known to have effects on the local equipment, so this is normal, so we can presume that there's probably travellers arriving, but well, these people are going to die. And Mac noticed that the bus outside that was going to take them somewhere had the brakes weren't working or something like that, and he's like, so yeah, that's how they were probably going to die. Although Philip didn't have any knowledge of it, but then that said, things have started to change, so there could very well be deaths that he didn't know about now.
Could be, yeah.
So we're playing with a lot of things, but the question is, why did they go missing, and what who sent them if this is something else and that kind of thing.
Well, I mean, why they went missing? Are they necessarily missing? Because the traveller cells, they're not supposed to interact anyway, right? We learnt that last season, that the individual cells are not really supposed to have too much contact with other ones.
Oh yeah, but they're supposed to presume they're their host lives rather.
No, that's true.
So they've broken that rule. That's why it's suspicious if they are travellers. That's why they're looking into it.
I think the implication, at least, is the people who are running this timeshare scam. Let's call it what it is. They seem to be choosing them actively, and I don't know if they were going to die because like you say, locks the door, leaves them in there, and we hear them screaming instantly, and it's pretty clear that it's travellers to us.
Yeah,
and it seems like no, here's the target.
Oh, that said, I will point out there was no countdown because I was waiting for the countdown to start at the start of the episode. I was waiting for it to come up saying countdown to arrival, and it never did.
Well, that's why I think it's more of a they weren't necessarily going to die, and they were just chosen for whatever reason by these people.
I'm tempted to think it's not just travelers. I think there's something more to this.
Okay.
Because it's been very mysterious, and obviously at the end of the episode we see another saleswoman selling the timeshare and locking the door, and we hear screams again. That's how we end the episode. So because at first we think, okay, it just happens to be at this place, but at the end confirms, no, there's something shady going on with this timeshare company.
Yeah, I was assuming that maybe this is the faction.
The company itself, yeah.
Yeah, like they're involved, and these sales agents, they're actually travelers already. They're just undercover.
Faction travelers, you mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to specify, I think. Cause
we do.
So we're saying that are we hypothesizing that faction members are just picking anyone and aren't they're picking victims and not people who are going to die. They're actually taking over people who are going to live.
Yes, and that is of course assuming that the group that we're with, all the new travelers for the FBI agents, that they're from the director and not faction infiltrated.
Yeah, and of course these could be factioners coming back. But we could have a mole in the director batch.
We could, yeah.
So that's always a possibility.
It could be that these are all the faction people in the FBI, and these ones over there, they're actually the director's people, and this is like a backup plan now.
Yeah, it's as if the situation that almost imagine in the future the faction has become, just compared to Star Wars for ease sake, they're the Empire, and the director and those people have become the rebellion, so they're having to sneak in and they're being shady about it now because
obviously
they have to hide.
Can't tell Mac and such because they're like, well, they're compromised.
Yeah, so or it could be what it appears to be, and they're the evil ones, because that's the thing, we don't really know. I mean, at least so far Walt seems quite likable, this traveller. So
seems likable, but that's something that makes me lean that maybe that is the faction, and it'll be like, oh, okay, it's not quite what we think. That
said, maybe that's why he had no simulator to learn to drive, because the faction don't have that.
Well, it's a good thing.
Well, I don't know, but anyway, but also it just could be that features changed and they don't have that equipment anymore for whatever reason.
Could be.
So that's going on. Other character stuff. We did have some Carly and Jeff wanting their kid back, and obviously I think last season this was the weakest plot line. It didn't drag the show down really any much, but it was definitely the weakest thing whenever it popped up. And honestly, I still kind of feel that way. Like whenever it came to it in this episode, I was kind of like, okay.
It's not bad. It's just not that interesting.
It's not that interesting. I think, because this episode, I feel like I have to give it credit for at least they're changing the status quo with it, because they're going to try and live together to prove that they're capable parents. But at the same time, she's giving him this chance, and he's trying to not be an alcoholic anymore. But I'm like, he did technically. He was going to kill you.
He was going to kill you. Yeah. The only reason that he isn't a murderer is because you took over. Yeah.
Now, I suppose. It's not like he planned to kill her. It was a drunken rage, violent moment.
Crime of passion.
Yeah. So debatably by interfering and stopping him from doing that, maybe you've set him on a better path in the long run, where he will get better and he will never cross or even get close to that line again. That's a possibility. Don't get me wrong.
It is.
People can grow and be better, but
it still feels like keep some distance.
He's still mostly an asshole, though. Let's be honest.
He is, and it feels like so. And she knows that as well, and she's only doing this for the kid. And it's like, I mean, I get what you're doing, but it feels like this isn't worth it.
Because when you look at the other characters, right, some of them have people they know outside of their group, right? Marcy with David, Mac with Kat, and arguably, those other characters don't have as much to do with the main plots either, but I think those other two work more because they kind of integrate into the main plot more in some ways. Whereas I feel like the kid never does. It's just constantly this burden where she has to keep. I said burden where she has to keep going back and
I think that the point where it was most interesting was actually quite early on, where it was a case of, when they all realize that they have these attachments outside the group, and she's like, no, this is my kid now. Like, it's my, and she felt that responsibility. I thought that angle was interesting, but we've kind of moved past that. They've all just accepted that, okay, yeah, no, this is your kid.
Which is an interesting idea, just in the sense that because like everyone else who had attachments, it's like, okay, there are other adults who I can talk to and reason with and get to know. This is a baby. You're raising it from almost scratch. Like, it was a year old maybe. If that, like, it's your kid now. Like, whoever this person is going to be, you're the ones molding them into it now.
Exactly.
If you have to ever get them back from the foster home, that's but it will be your kid essentially. So, I think last season I questioned the attachment a little bit, but they've made it very clear that they all have some attachment to the people who were attached to those to their hosts.
and that's fine. I like that, but like you say, this one is just so separate, and it doesn't seem to be doing anything. It just kind of sits there. And I get that, especially this episode, it's there because of Protocol 4, and it's there to highlight, oh no, this is what it's like having a kid. This is, as well as just changing the future, by having someone extra, this is what it's there to, it compromises the mission of, okay, they've got this responsibility outside of the group.
Yeah, and I mean, arguably as well, like, even just in this case, it's not breaking Protocol 4, but, yeah, that's, I mean, had she not, taken over the body, had she not come back, this kid would have been raised by an alcoholic, or his alcoholic father, or be in foster home, which may happen anyway, admittedly, given how things are going.
I'd assume foster home, given that I assume they'd been taken away. Once it was like, hey, you killed the mother, let's not leave the kid with you.
Yeah. So admittedly, like, and I wonder if that's something they bring up. That could actually be really fascinating if someone points out, hey, had you not come back, the kid would have been into foster homes because he would be taken to jail for being a murderer.
Yeah, so, this is the outcome that preserves history.
Yeah. I wonder if anyone brings that point up, and if she has to accept that and let him go.
Could be.
That could be an interesting turn if they go that way. But hey, admittedly, if Mac's having a kid, she's not going to budge at all. It's like, well, you're having a kid, so.
Well, I can see the drama. They'll be trying to convince her that, and he'll be on their side, going, yeah, you should really just let this go, and then it'll come out, and everyone will be like, oh, you're a hypocrite.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah, and I can also see there being like a really sort of sweet moment where they both kind of agree to let each other break the rule because they both understand that they both want it. Because maybe even they wanted it together, and in the future, before they came back, they might have wanted a kid, and that's they both true. Kind of like, well, it's with other people, but I mean,
it's sort of a family.
Yeah, in a weird, wacky kind of way. So, no. Elsewhere, we had Marcy and David. He's basically got PTSD from everything that's went down. He's obsessing, he's not eating, he's not sleeping, and Marcy spends the episode trying to basically do a bunch of tests. There's like a light one that goes back and forth, and a little bit of hypnosis kind of idea happening there, and various other things, and eventually just gets him high to try and make him feel better.
Again, this is a plot that I don't think is super heavy this episode, but it's amusing once it gets to this end point.
Yeah, and she leaves. She's not going to stay with him anymore. She's going to get her own place, but she's going to live at the base in the meantime. Which hurts a little bit because I think we said this a lot last season. They're very much the heart of the show. Their relationship is the most innocent and the one that you kind of latch on to, I think, the most.
Yeah.
And we were really kind of upset. Not really upset, you know what I mean? Like we were upset when she got her mind wiped. It felt, it was kind of hard hitting. It felt really bad. You felt really bad for David. You felt really bad for Marcy because they'd kind of gotten close, and that's not there anymore. And I still do think, or at least I'm hoping, they're going to have us build up that relationship again. And it'll be that thing where they're going to have feelings for each other no matter what, even if she's resisting it right now because she feels weird because she doesn't remember it. Yeah. So I'd hope that's where it's going to go. But at least for now, it's interesting to sort of explore this way, and maybe see how David fits back into things, despite the fact that they're kind of separate right now.
How he manages to cope on his own.
Yeah. So because obviously he's put like 5 locks in his door,
Yes, he's very paranoid.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I went to the hardware store.
The weed might not help with that.
I went to the hardware store. They were having a sale on locks. Fancy that.
Hey, if it's there, why not?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the guy with the guns is going to get in somehow anyway. I feel like the type of people that's keeping out are the low lives that you probably weren't that scared of to begin with.
Yeah, it's a good point.
But hey, so that's okay. And of course, who we've left out so far is Philip. He's at an AA meeting essentially, and he's telling his story. And do you know, there's that thing with the camera where it keeps focusing on this one person who we've not met before. I'm like, okay, she's going to be a character. She's going to come up and say hello when he's getting coffee. It's always when they're at the little table getting a drink.
Every time, yeah, it's so cliche.
It's every time. It's not a bad cliche, but it's just they always do it. It's the exact same way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get it. It's the thing that, well, you can't have them interrupt in the circle.
Yeah.
And so going to the table afterwards is the first opportunity for it. So it makes sense in a logical point, but it's always the choice. Wait. They never wait till they're outside.
I just thought of an amusing situation.
Go on.
Where someone might interrupt in the circle. So if Felicity on Arrow ever goes to AA for some reason, she'll be the one who starts small talk while someone's trying to bare their soul and talk about their addiction and what they're going through.
Stupid bitch.
She's the one who do that. She interrupted someone's wedding so she could get married. No, this is Anyway, so this character named Jenny who makes small talk for about a minute and then just hits out, oh, by the way, I'm traveller number 48, blah blah blah. It's like, oh, okay, hello, and she claims she's here. And I say claims because I'm a little bit suspicious.
I'm suspicious as well.
She's got a drug that's synthesized that's not been invented yet. It's not going to be invented for 20 years. So her or maybe someone another traveller she's back with has developed this, with modern, made it themselves with the materials available, and it'll help with his addiction problems. It'll sort of not, dull the pain of withdrawal and all the rest of it, and help him get off the heroin. Although the way she likes to use it, it's eye drops. She's like using it to get a kick. So she's basically trading one addiction for another.
Yeah, definitely.
Because she makes some music, but she's basically talks about how, the director's a computer. We can break rules. We can do that. Like, that's fine.
Yeah, we programmed it. We know better.
I've not been struck by lightning yet. And she kind of proves this. She breaks some rules. She takes them to this. What would I call it? It's not quite a rally, but like a seminar. Yeah. But it's a white nationalist, being racist and spewing the usual hate speech about immigration and all the rest of it. And I do like how when Philip sits there, he's like, this guy spreads so much hate. I don't want to sit here and listen to this guy. So now just wait for it. And she's hacked into his slideshow, his PowerPoint, and there's like pictures of him in like a sex dungeon with multiple people. And it's all very funny. He laughs along, and these two are hitting it off. They take their drug again, their eye drops, and they go back to the base and have sex. It's a whole thing, and that's where we get the joke about the protocol 4 with the condom. Yeah, all fine. Marcy's not very amused when she sees her in the morning. Not in a very good mood.
No,
but
not at all.
Well, it's funny because you feel like she's playing it as if, oh, this is inappropriate. But really, she's just kind of pissed that she had something with someone.
She's just given something up, yeah.
But she can't remember it. She made the tough choice to move away from it because it was better for the mission overall. And here's Philip fornicating with the distant colleague, shall we call her? But yeah, so she's going to stick around. Do you know what I really liked about this scene? Is that they're kind of pissy at each other at first. And she's like, you're doing this. And then he's like, you've got someone. As soon as she says, I need a place to stay, I'm going to stay here for a little bit, he just immediately switches to, oh, of course. It kind of shifts.
It's your place too.
Yeah, but I like how it's like you almost think he's still going to be mad at her for just the attitude. But he just immediately goes, no, of course. Like, yeah.
And when the new girl refers to her as, I think it was the bitchy blonde.
Yeah.
He kind of sticks up for her there. It's like, really?
Yeah, it really does. It's like, even though they fight and stuff, like it's giving me that family vibe where it's like, no, this core group of characters, much like the Scooby Gang on the hit television show, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
The Buffy the Vampire.
The Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Can't believe your one reference that you do every time you screwed it up.
Oh man. I didn't get a lot of sleep. Okay, I got like 4 hours sleep. Okay,
It's plenty.
it's not plenty. You're weird. You're weird that you think 4 hours is plenty.
It's perfectly adequate.
No, 7's adequate.
Seven's too much.
No, 8 or 9's just nice. 7's adequate.
No.
And 10 to 12 is amazing. So
10 to 12 is horrific. I feel awful if I get that much sleep.
Not if you need it. Not if you need it. Trust me. Anyway, so yeah, so they have a bit of fun. But the big thing that comes up with this though is that this white nationalist guy, he basically, like, all of his racist followers, and more presumably sexist and homophobic, and because of the pictures turned against him, and he basically woke up and killed himself and his family. Super dark.
Yeah, wife and a child.
Yeah, and Philip, quite rightly, he's like, hey, like, you caused this. Like, this is horrific. And she's like, yeah, but he was an awful person. Like, and he's really upset that he's gone. It's like, yeah, but what about his kid? His kid wasn't awful yet. like, and even still, you're still interfering with you caused a murder suicide that wasn't supposed to happen because you interfered. That's Protocol 3.
It is.
It's indirect Protocol 3, but it's Protocol 3.
It is. But she's like, well, yeah, I mean, it's a shame that they died, but hey, if some innocents have got to die to stop him, spewing his hate.
Yeah. So definitely we'll be dealing with some of those themes, I think, throughout this season, and the morality of, because it kind of ties back into episode 1 with those FBI agents were only there because they were called in, and even then the device was only there because the travelers had made it. So technically, everything
and this one's hitting at the idea of is there a greater good sacrifice? Do you make the choice to sacrifice a few to save many down the line?
Yeah.
I think that's a theme we might get kind of popping up a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I don't think we've really hit the idea that maybe there's like an evil person that's really like, let's say we have like an equivalent to Hitler who's going to push the agendas that's going to cause like a lot of the problems that lead to the future. Like, does the question of do you assassinate that person to try and stop it come up, and what are the pros and cons of that? What's the moral questions there? Like, I feel like that's something as well. That's kind of what this is hitting at. Not directly yet, but it's kind of poking in that direction. No, I think this is
starting to just introduce that idea here that we can get to maybe come the end of the season.
Yeah. And then finally, of course, Trevor, let's not forget him in the hospital. His girlfriend, who I forgot existed, I'm not going to lie.
Me too.
She wasn't a memorable character from season 1. But she's making sure he's got feeling in his balls and whatnot, and that's fine, that's all nice. Honestly, my favourite part of this whole thing, because as she leaves, I'm going to be here tomorrow, and the next day, and she kisses him a few times, and she leaves, and you just hear Grace from behind the curtain, am I going to have to hear that tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day? And then she like pulls the curtain back with her walking stick or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And she's just so bitter and miserable. I'm digging Moni Grace. Moni Grace is entertaining. Yeah,
and then when you've got Trevor congratulating the doctors and thanking them, she's like, yeah, sure, thank the doctors. It's not like my nanotech did anything.
he's like, I'm just trying to make them feel like they did a good job. And they're doing their best. They're working with what they've got.
Yeah. Oh, it's cracking me up.
Yeah. I like when there's a reference to him being an old man.
Yeah, because it's so easy to forget with him being the youngest looking.
Do you know what's funny about it, actually? Since we watched season 1, I've rewatched most of Third Rock from the Sun, and it was the same thing in that. The teenager, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, who of course has been on to do much bigger things, but he's a teenager in that show, and he's the oldest in the group from their planet. It's actually the same thing. It's played for laughs a lot more, but like I was thinking about it as we were making the old man jokes. I was like,
it's a clear inspiration.
It's like Tommy from Third Rock. I wonder if that is like an odd inspiration for this, or if it's just the obvious thing to do is put.
I think it is the obvious thing to do, but it's the right sort of timeline where it's like, they could have been fans of that, so let's do that.
Yeah, maybe they give us a reason why they can't do this, but I'm surprised there was no gender swaps when someone's been back.
I wonder if it's just because there's for people to be more comfortable.
You mean them, the ones going back?
Yeah.
Not the viewers.
Not the viewers, but just like, well, I'm a man, I want to be in a man's body, essentially.
Yeah, okay.
Like, I mean, and maybe there's a point where it's like desperation, where they'll go, well, we don't care, we just do whatever we can take. But for the most part, they seem to have a lot of choice. So it's like, well, we'll just, we'll take whatever is most suitable for us.
A lot of people die. I wonder, actually, maybe it'd be a nice thing to explore if someone does have a swap, and like maybe they'll just question, oh, why did you swap? And maybe it's like, oh, I always wanted to, and this was just a chance to do it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That'd be an interesting thing to explore, maybe.
Yeah, it would.
But hey, that's episode 2. Probably not as action packed as episode 1. It was a lot more like separate plot lines, all kind of trickling along.
Yeah, it was solid though.
Yeah, it was solid. Yeah, we build up the new mystery of this, this this timeshare scheme that's doing shady things. We got that going on. We've raised some moral questions, and obviously, key point as well. Philip rushed back to the base to make sure his turtle was okay. Yeah,
we forgot to mention that last episode.
We did. He
was in the interrogation room. It's like, look, I know this is stupid, but I need to go and check on my turtle.
But he has to, because I mean, he knows about the post-apocalyptic future, that this turtle might become a mutant teenage ninja at some point. Like, it's actually possible with his timeline.
It is, and so, you can't risk that.
And you want to have your turtle. If anything, he needs to get 3 more just to have the complete set.
Yeah, and he needs to make sure it's alive so he can train them.
Exactly, because they all know some martial arts.
Yeah, he's gonna be their Splinter.
Traveling Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That'll be the spin-off.
I dig it.
All right.
Oh man, I'm just waiting for them to go into an animal body now. You were just talking about genders. Yeah. I want one of them to show up in a bear.
Oh no, but the brain couldn't handle the
probably not. Because
remember, that was the whole thing in season 1 where Marcy's brain was like hurt. It was struggling because she had a proper brain, whereas before she was disabled.
What if they go in like something that has a relatively advanced brain?
What, I mean, a dolphin?
Oddly, dolphin is the first thing that came to my mind as well.
But what can they do as a dolphin?
I don't know.
What use is that?
We had, the army trained dolphins at one point, so why not?
Yeah, but only for very specific missions. Like, what?
Well, maybe they need a very specific underwater mission.
We've never even seen them near water, never mind in water.
It's only a matter of time.
Also, it is worth mentioning, Mac does bring up the possibility that these group of people, if they are travellers, were taken much like they were in season 1. I don't think it's as simple as that, but it's a good thing for me to bring up. It's an obvious thing to
plausible, speculate. But again, I think there's more to it.
But yeah, so that's been episode 2. So let us know what you thought of this one in the comments. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz. For channel updates and all that kind of thing. If you want to support the channel and support the show and everything we do here, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can get a link to that in the description, as well as a few other important things. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching, guys. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?